Hey guys, happy Monday. Welcome to my legacy house where everything starts at home. And tonight we are going live with 3 of our mentors from the Quality Queens Initiative and the Whole Warriors Collaborative. That's our e-mentorship and life skills programs. And we're discussing beliefs about conflict. So now we're just waiting, getting everybody in here and waiting for Lorenzo so we can get our little pregame on. Hi Tia, hi honey child. Just get my pen. Gotta be ready to keep my notes. Hey Frank, how you doing? Just waiting on everybody. Let me make sure everybody knows that we're live right now. Exciting times. I hope everybody's week was fabulous. Hope you had a proud moment. And I hope you were able to identify an opportunity for improvement. So, just waiting for our folks to get down in here. That is it. Talking about beliefs about conflicts. And this is kind of an extended topic because we are going to be talking about conflict management next week. So we are really just scratching the surface with conflict, as it were, this week with our lovely mentor. Oh, hi, Kara. Oh, hello there, Brit, says Tia. Hello. Oh, hi. Oh, wait, Pan American. Oh, yes, one of our lovely mentees. How you doing? Happy everybody could join us tonight. You could be anywhere in the world on a Monday night, but you're here with us. Hey, Kim. That was the corniest thing. That's not the corniest thing that you will ever see at my legacy house, but it was pretty corny tonight. What's up, Big Drip? Joni the Mayor. How you doing tonight? How you doing tonight? Just waiting for our fam to get in here so we can start it on up. Beliefs about conflict. Hey, Raina. So Raina, Steven, and Rockett we have on tonight. And we're going to have Lorenzo pop in first, and then we'll get the other 3 rolling. You guys know how we do over here at my legacy house. If you are interested in participating in our Quality Queens Initiative or our Whole Warriors Collaborative, don't hesitate to click the link in our bio. It's 100% free, always will be for our participants. And what you're going to get is you're going to be assigned a mentor, and you will be able to navigate through whatever it is that you're navigating with an extra ear, with an extra pair of eyes. And you'll be able to obtain resources that you may need, that you think you may need, that you may not know you need, but will be beneficial to you. We'll make sure and facilitate that. We've got a lot of things coming through my Legacy House LA, and we're just getting started. We are literally just lifting up off the ground, and organizations and other entities and private individuals are starting to pay attention, and they want to help us. So I'm just waiting for Lorenzo to come on. Oh, here he is. Oh, hey, Lorenzo. Hey, Veronica. Hey, Steven. Let's go ahead and Steven, we're going to get you in here as soon as Lorenzo and I go over a few things. That is all we're going to be doing real quick. Because I got to say hi to got to catch up. Hey, Kimmy Greek. Free 99. That's right, Kim. All of our programs are always free for our participants. So there's that. Lorenzo. Hey. Oh, you dressed up for us today. You dressed up. You shined your head and everything. You exfoliated.
This 405 traffic gave me high blood pressure tonight.
No, you had high blood pressure first. It just
I was racing trying to get home right now. Like literally racing.
Okay.
Hi, Brit.
Hi, Lorenzo. How are you?
I'm awesome for a Monday. Well, you're looking fabulous.
Oh, thank you. I had a nap because I wanted to be fresh for y'all.
Okay.
You know? Right. And I know some of y'all are like, well, girl, you still a little rough, but so what?
That's right.
So, Lorenzo, tell me, how was your week and your weekend?
My week was actually pretty good. My weekend was actually very chilled. I actually tried to relax a little bit. I was able to get caught up on a few projects.
Good.
I surrendered one of my clients, so I kind of feel good about that because
I don't know what that means. Is that dangerous? Is that something I want plausible deniability for?
No. I surrendered them. So I released the relationship with them.
Okay, why can't you just say that? You got to say all these polysyllabic words.
Well,
Just
anyway,
okay.
it was a good thing. So I kind of feel very relieved because I'll be very honest with you, the demands and the expectations with the dead end tunnel wasn't really going anywhere. So
Okay.
it's a
Well,
blessing.
congratulations then.
Thank
all
you.
breakups aren't bad.
No, they're not. Absolutely not at all. Some are good.
Well, good.
But
So
other than that,
okay.
no,
So
go
give me
ahead.
an opportunity for improvement for the week.
Opportunity for improvement is to continue to just stay focused, prioritize accordingly, and just stay on track. I've spent the weekend doing a few things on our program, and I was really excited, and I've been waking up almost every morning with some more extra energy.
Good.
So I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about tonight.
Well, listen, you have been working because every 2 seconds I'm getting an email notification. I'm like, okay, Lord, I know I said I want Lorenzo to do more stuff.
But it's all good.
It's all good.
Today was one of them days. And today was one of them days. I woke up, 8 o'clock conference call with Chicago, and we were just on the road. All right, Mr. Young, how do you want this, Mr. Young? Are you sure you want it this way? I'm like, look, let's make this happen, man. Let's make it happen. And that's what I called you.
I love it, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of you, too, and I'm proud of everybody that's on our Instagram tonight, our mentors and our mentees. So
yeah, and tonight we're talking about beliefs about conflict. And so, and this is scratching the surface for our discussion regarding conflict, because that is a huge topic to tackle.
Right.
And not everybody, not everybody wants to be confrontational, but you can address conflict. You can face up or square up with conflict without it being confrontational. And so we're going to scratch the surface starting this week, and we're going to bleed it into next week. And hopefully people will take away some valuable jewels. Hopefully I find some jewels because, I have conflict sometimes. But I'm excited about it. We're going to get our mentors in here and get this conversation rolling. But I'm very happy to see you, and I'm glad you dressed up for us. You look handsome.
Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to tonight. Thank you guys so much.
Okay. Bye, Lorenzo.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, we're gonna get look, he's getting spiffy. He's getting real savvy with getting in and out of this. Okay, so let me go ahead and get our people for the night. I think we're just waiting on one. I think everybody else was here. So let me see what you guys talking about in the chat. Oh, hey, cutie.
Hey.
All right, so 1 second. I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody's comments. We have Kimmy G says, yeah, naps. Listen, I needed that. Hi, Ty. Ty says, happy Monday to everybody. Joni says, I surrender all. Listen, Lorenzo had to surrender it. Yes, Kim, the word of the night, surrendered. That's what I'm going to start saying. That's what I'm going to start saying. Let me see. Veronica says, all breakups are not bad. Facts. And then Joni says, you call it conflict, I call it beef, but I don't eat red meat anymore. So, I guess, I don't know. I don't know. Let me see here. Oh, Destiny. Hey, Destiny. She says, hey, girl, welcome to my legacy house where everything starts at home. I am still looking for Rockett. You know what? If one of my mentors who are in the chat can hop out and go inbox Rockett real quick. Oh, wait, hold on. And inbox Rockett real quick. That would be great. But if not, I think Diego will be in here if Rockett can't make it. So, Raina. Oh, hey, Steve. Hi, Steve.
Hey, how we doing? Hey.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Oh, I'm living. I'm going to go. We're still waiting for one, but I want to start by asking you guys how your week was. Raina, start with you. How was your week?
My week went really good. Really, really good. I worked some. I had some days off. I had some time to myself. It was a good balance this week.
Good. And so give me a proud moment.
A proud moment. I'm sitting in it. I got my home office together.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm proud of that. I've been procrastinating it for 2 years now. So I finally have my home office.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Your productivity is going to go through the roof, and then you're going to have Kim over there giving you all the pointers. Okay?
I'm going to need some organization.
Stephen, what about you? How was your week?
I had a good week actually, productive week. Some investments that I made panned off a little bit, so that's always a blessing. So that's my
Nice.
my up for the week. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so it's been a good week though. No
Good,
complaints.
good, good. So
Yeah.
what about your opportunity for improvement?
Um, Always more time management. Like I'm good with it, but I can always push myself farther, and I've been doing pretty well. I'm pretty disciplined, but I'm always trying to take it a step farther.
Okay. Well, hey,
Yeah.
here's to consistent improvement, and I love it. I love it. So while we're waiting for Rocket, I hope he didn't. I hope he didn't have to work tonight, and I just didn't know. But Yolanda says, "Hey, hey there, superstar." Ty French says, "Yes, home office," and so does. Wait, so does Tess. Tess and Ty both say, "Yes, home office." They sent at the same time. That's
Yes.
fabulous.
Ooh.
That's fabulous. Well, while we're waiting for Rocket, we'll just dive right in because we're all here. So here we go. We're talking about our beliefs about conflict this week. And so I want to ask you guys, but I also want to ask everybody in the chat room, how do you feel in general about conflict? There's no wrong answer. So I'm going to start with you, Stephen. How do you feel about conflict in general?
That is necessary for change.
Okay. Okay. Oh, look, he went to sync with it. That is necessary for change. Okay. I tend to agree. Raina, what about you? How do you
You
feel
know
about conflict?
about it because sometimes I feel like it's negative, like I have negative emotions about it, and sometimes I feel like it could be constructive. So it's mixed. I guess it just depends on the person, the situation, and all that.
Okay, that's fair. Oh, Rocket's here.
I
Want to
just
give
feel
Rocket
like,
any?
cause oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I just feel like conflict is one of those words that just have a negative connotation over it. Period. So when you hear the word, you automatically think a problem. When it's like,
There
it doesn't
it
have to be that big of a thing. Conflict is a problem, but it doesn't have to be y'all ramming each other's heads together. What's up,
I
Rocket?
like that.
What's going
Rocket,
on, y'all? I'm
Rocket,
Easy E today. I'm
Rocket,
Easy E.
Rocket. Halloween was 2 weeks ago.
I forgot to wear my uniform, so I forgot to wear a
is so
costume, so
bad.
I'm Easy E today. Don't mind me.
Look, I love it. Welcome, Rocket. Good
Hey,
to
you win for next year.
Listen.
you win for next year.
How y'all
Okay, so
doing?
I'm gonna jump into the. Before I get to you, Rock, I'm gonna jump into the chat first of all. Um, okay, we have is that Viverink Cinco? I can never say this name, and this is so bad for me. But says home office dope, and then Ty's laughing at Raina. Honey Child
Okay,
says home
so,
office equal,
so
huh?
for Viviar, just say Cinco. That's my cousin.
Okay,
Shout
I'm gonna say Cinco. That's cool. Cinco, what's up, Cinco? Honey Child says home office equals intentional space. We love it. I love it.
Very
Veronica says conflict is necessary. I think that's where we're at with it right now. Kim says uncomfortable but necessary. YOLO says necessary evil. And then Pan American says hate it but understand that it's necessary. Absolutely. Absolutely. Joni says, in the words of Ronnie King, can't we all just get along? You talking about conflict?
that
And then ZP says only Rocket. What's up, ZP? Honey Chow says conflict gets a bad rap. Sometimes
Mhm.
it reveals blind spots. Listen, yes, absolutely. Ty
Agreed.
says that Rocket is really channeling Meek Mill and Easy E's baby.
I'm dead.
Too funny, too funny. So while we have you fresh to death, Rocket, and before we continue on with this conversation, you guys in the chat keep sending us your answers in terms of how you feel about conflict. But Rocket, how was your week?
I had a good week. Had
Okay,
a good
give me a
week.
proud moment.
Um, Proud moment. Uh, I could have turned up on somebody, on some people, but I didn't.
Okay, so
I could
Okay,
have turned up on some people, but I
okay.
didn't.
Shout out to
Listen,
restraint and
yep,
self-control. Okay.
had some issues, and we was hooping this week, but
Oh,
I could have
okay.
turned up, but I didn't. I kept my cool,
I
played the
love
rest of the
that.
game, and we just,
I love that. Okay, so give me an opportunity for improvement.
Um, Not even responding back when it first when it first was going on. Should have just not responded back. It took me too long to get myself out of the get out of that space where I wanted to respond.
Mm-hmm.
But you could already see that I was already affected by it.
Okay.
So,
You know what? And I won't even say I'm sorry you went through that. I'm glad you went through that because number one, you recognize your growth, right?
hmm
And number two, it's so on brand for what we're talking about today in terms of conflict. in terms of conflict.
that's why I
Um,
came in. That's why I came in like easy. I was on. I wanted to. I was NWA for real.
I
Yeah.
see. But you know what? I'm glad you came out as a bigger man on it. And so
hmm
congratulations to you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Destiny says conflict reveals people's true colors. And then ZP seconds my emotions about your growth, Rocket, and says definitely growth. Honey
hmm
Child says self-control is the fruit of the spirit. And then Joni says, shout out to the they go low, we went high. So yes,
Hello.
looks like we're all supporting you on that one, Rocket. So
hmm
I don't know, did I interrupt you, Stephen, or had you finished your thought?
No, I had already finished my thought.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
Raina,
Yeah.
tell me how you feel about conflict.
It's really mixed emotions. Mostly I guess negative. I put a negative context on it, but it is constructive and necessary, but I don't really like to deal.
Okay,
But yeah, there is a negative context for me in that regard.
and that's fair. That's fair. Rocket, how do you feel about conflict? Like in general, how do you feel about
Um,
conflict?
in general, conflict, I feel it is necessary. I feel like conflict is necessary. There's gonna be conflict that you go through in your life, and you have to go through things so you can figure out how you're gonna react. If you, like for me, with a person, like if I ever speak to people and they be like, "Yeah, I've never had to do anything like that," I'm like, I'm kind of scared of how they might deal with something or issues that have to come up because they've never been through it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult to get through certain things.
Yeah, no, I
So
definitely agree with that.
I would rather you be w- have been through something so then so you have a better understanding of how you might react, or when conflict comes up you have an idea of how you're going to respond.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Absolutely. Absolutely. CJ says, what's good, world?
what's
And
going on,
then
world? That's my guy.
Lorenzo says, conflict can make or break you. And West Indian 89 says, conflict brings growth. It's a testimony to
Yes.
share.
Yes,
Yes, it is a testimony to share. Absolutely. You know what? Instead of me pinning stuff that we put up here, I'm just going to pin that one because it is a testament to share. Absolutely. People have all kinds of negative connotations, negative feelings and emotions, and they typically, a lot of people will try to avoid conflict at all costs. A lot of that is trauma based, and we're not going to get into that today, but we are definitely going to address that some people have negative emotions and reactions when it comes to conflict. And sometimes it makes them take the long route around to avoid it. And
hmm
so in today's conversation, we're going to be talking about how we identify, or just the fact of identifying situations when conflicts arise. We're going to talk about who we're in conflict with, about what. We're going to be talking about the conflict resolution process. And then we're going to just kind of chat about the benefits, indicators, and outcomes of conflict. Because remember, next week we're going into conflict management, which is different than conflict resolution. So Frank says conflict is necessary to allow you to mature and make you stronger in order to provide solutions. Absolutely, Frank. Absolutely. So let's talk about the situations that cause conflicts. Let me ask you guys this, and I'll start with you, Rocket. Who do you fight with the most?
Ooh.
um I don't know. I'm trying to think. I used to fight with my brothers and stuff a lot, but I don't stay with them or see them as much. So I would just say friends.
Okay.
Friends. hmm
Okay.
Okay. Raina, who do you fight with most?
I think out of all my different like relationships I've had in my life, I feel like I I butt heads the most with, I guess, a romantic relationship more so than my friends and work relationships and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay. Steven, what about you?
I mean, if you're gonna go through, I guess, back through life, you would always say a sibling. Just is when you grow up with a sibling, y'all gonna bump heads and you're gonna learn and grow through those situations. Currently in life, nobody really, because I try to go about things very direct, so we don't really have problems, not a conflict. We try to deal with this before it becomes a conflict. But I would
Okay.
just, so for the sake of conversation though, let's go with siblings because we don't always see eye to eye still, even when it comes to finances or politically or things. So we have our family discussions and the way that we
Okay.
go about having those discussions.
And isn't it interesting how the people that we're connected with the longest, the conflicts change because it's
Yes,
not some, they start off trivial. And in the chat, I want you guys to tell me who you guys fight with the most in your lives, because we're going to find some commonalities, but we're going to find some interesting differences as well. But I do find that conflicts with siblings or family members tend to change over time. But conflicts with friends, at least for me, don't really change over time, because I think the friends end up changing when there's too much conflict, when it's not constructive, or when people are not ready for it.
no, because there's
Um,
certain relationships that are going to be. So even when there's conflict, you have to grow within the conflict. And there's certain relationships that, like reasons, seasons, a lifetime thing, where it's like this has seen enough conflict to where it has seen its season or its reason. And there's some
hmm.
people that you just have no choice, and you learn and grow from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. What's up,
Because
Rocket?
I believe the reason why I say my friends is because I expect my friends to don't sugarcoat shit for me. I can say shit.
For sure.
Can I? I'm gonna try not to curse. But I
Thank you.
choose my friends. I choose my friends to don't sugarcoat anything for me. So I ask for them to be 100 with me, and that's how we are together. When I'm with my guys and we're talking about stuff, we really don't sugarcoat anything. So the conflict that we tend to have, it's not a where I'm mad and angry at them, but it's a necessary to get myself in order, to realign me, to make myself think about it. And we talk about everything. So it's like if we're talking about certain things and they bring it straight forward, and I'm like, you know what? I was trying to low key act like that wasn't what it was, and I wasn't on there. But since y'all pointed out, you right. I should have just went ahead and chalked that one up as an L, or I shouldn't have said that. But I would have to say like relationships though too.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So CJ says nowadays he's in conflict with himself. Self-reflection is the biggest part of growth, in his opinion. And I don't think that that gets talked about in general circles enough in terms of conflict, our conflict with ourselves. And so I think that's an interesting one, because we do have a relationship with ourselves for
For
sure.
sure, that internal conversation that you have is real, and
Hmm.
I guess it's going to be considered conflict, but for sure, that internal conversation that you have with yourself, whether it's battling the little kid that you need to get rid of inside, or if it's gearing
Mhm.
yourself up for the conflict that's coming, that
Mm-hmm.
conversation before it is real.
Absolutely. And in the chat, we got a lot of people who are echoing that sentiment. Friends and themselves is who they get in contact with, and also siblings. Lorenzo says siblings. Kim says coworkers, families, family, boyfriend, friends. But Lorenzo says that he's in conflict with his brother the most. And yeah, and you know what? But I think that now, CJ, you talk about you're in conflict with church or that
That's
we're
what I want to
preaching?
know too.
Or are
Like,
we preaching?
oh, church. Okay, church.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, there's
that's
so
like,
many things. And I think that the things that we're tethered to the most, either on a value level or on on a value level, the things that we value the most. I said value 6 times in one sentence. I think those are the things that make us in conflict, because we have to fight. We can't just be released from it. And so it does tend to make us stronger. It does tend to make us, see things either as they are, or to give us a different perspective. And that's what I don't want to say enjoy, but for lack of a better term, enjoy about conflict. So then, what causes conflict between, we'll say, friends or your close relationship? What is the cause? So in the chat, tell me what what are the conflicts that you run into with your friends, lovers, family, and yourself? Okay, so CJ was saying he was in agreement with what Stephen was saying. So he was saying he was preaching. So
okay.
Raina, what
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what topics do you, or what are you in conflict with the most, either with yourself or with relationships? What things you guys fight about the most?
I guess like not understood. I guess when
Okay.
you're trying to, I guess, like your side of the story, or um, see where you're coming from, and sometimes when people don't see each other, it starts conflict.
Okay. So miscommunications, misunderstandings.
Hmm.
All right. I think that's a fair statement. We have some commonalities there. Stephen, what about you? What causes conflict in your life with the people that you are connected to?
The obvious answer is differences, but what usually causes the escalation in the conflict is either delivery or tone.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in that comes the reaction, I guess comes the conflict. But mostly it's just like if my conflict is with my brother, it's not a negative thing. We're each trying to convince each other that we have the right opinion. We did our research, we did our thing, we know what we're talking about. And we're gonna go back and forth and somebody's gonna be right or wrong and that's it. So yeah,
Okay. Okay. Rocket.
I'll say disagreement, miscommunication, for sure. Tone, because sometimes a tone can change how you take things. So this pretty much about knows.
So we're not fighting about any specific topic then, usually.
because it
It's
could be
usually
anything.
Hmm.
Yeah.
because I
It's
thought,
as simple as football.
uh-huh.
I'm sorry to cut you. I'm like, it's as simple as football or as big as I don't know where our nephew needs to go to college. Like it's life decisions and it's nothing decisions.
Hmm.
And that's so interesting to me because, I thought people, when they think of conflict, they go surface and they'll say, oh, we fight about money, or we fight about mistrust in relationship, or we fight over kids and things like that. But I love that we are already identified that most of our conflicts come from miscommunication and misunderstandings, or and that's all centered around the tone that somebody takes, because communication is not just the words we say, but it's the inflection in our voices. It is actually the tone.
Hmm.
It's our personality, because sometimes people will say things, and if you know them well enough, you know that is how they speak. And if something is outside of the norm of how somebody speaks or usually communicates when they're in a particular mood, it's like a whole equation, it's like a whole algorithm. Then we start feeling
Yeah.
away, because in the chat you have people who say egos, misunderstanding, disagreements. Pan American says, for me, when people aren't considerate of me, my time, or my feelings.
Mm.
We have ignorance. We have a
Hmm.
lack of active listening, and that goes right in alignment with miscommunications. Jay Will says jealousy, hate, egos,
Mm.
communication. CJ says building healthy boundaries and how to do so and act and communicate effectively. So are you saying that when we don't do that, we end up having conflict issues?
I agree with that. That's a healthy conversation you got to have. The
Mm-hmm.
boundaries and what you will and won't accept is a healthy
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Ooh, Tess says miscommunication and projection. And I don't think that we
Oh,
identify that enough either, because we will project how we feel. And that's normally what we're doing. When we're walking around in the earth, we're projecting how we feel on other people. We take in what other people are doing, saying. I guess that's all they're doing or saying. And we translate it based on where we're standing, not where they're standing. And that is a huge element in terms of dealing with conflict between two people, not necessarily with yourself, because that's a whole nother can of worms, but definitely perspective is huge. Joni says, comprehension, people don't speak the same language. People got to agree on the context. Absolutely, Joni. Even if we speak the same language, we do not speak the same language.
Yes.
Absolutely. Agnes says different personalities. Tess says differences for sure. Oh, so Honeychild says delivery and tone, or whatever I'm doing not
Yes.
landing how I expect it to. Blessings aren't blessings if the person doesn't feel blessed. Oh, I wanted the mic drop for you, Honeychild, because I always when I talk to people who are in conflict with either a spouse or like a friend or whatever, and they'll say, oh, well, for example, a husband will say, oh, well, I love my wife, and I was like, okay, well, do you tell her or communicate in a way that she understands that you love her? But well, she knows. We can't always assume people know, and it goes the other way around as well. Because if I think that my partner is the most handsome in the world, is the most considerate, I'm so proud of him, and I never tell him that, or I never communicate to him in a way that he understands that, is he going to know? And will it matter how I feel if I have not communicated that to him? So absolutely. Kim says things left unspoken, things like that. Listen, we on fire tonight. Child says, right. And unfortunately, people that look like us we don't get much grace, nor do we give it, honey child. We don't get it, nor do we give it, because that's a two-way street. Excellent point. Tess says, yes, the ability to encode and decode, or the inability to do so, creates those miscommunications. Absolutely. And our paranoia about what people mean. Because that's a real thing too. That's a real thing too. So do you guys find that you guys are having miscommunications or conflicts at certain times or after certain events or happenings in your lives? Let's start with you, Stephen.
If we were to go conflict, I mean, if it were like a significant other, relationship wise, then things usually come like after an event or after something social. If both people haven't pre-talked about how to deal with friendships of the other sex, how to deal with hugs, how to deal with just a lot of things that come with public gatherings when it comes to being in a relationship, causes a lot of conflicts if you're not clear on the boundaries and what you expect from your partner and what they expect from you. And it's always a learning process too, because people say that I care about this and then they really care about that. And then you have this miscommunication. You got to figure it out. So that's a learning progress. But that is the situation socially, like social events, going out with people and then having that conversation afterward.
Absolutely. Social behavior, when you're connected to another person and you believe that you hold a certain space in that person's life, and you go out and what is communicated based on body language and all of that kind of stuff can definitely lead to miscommunications if you have not established, look, this is how I am. I know that this could be a source of contention, but please understand, I think it's the reassurance that people need to know where they stand in other people, especially in intimate relationships, because I think that's really what we're getting at, because friendships is very light usually if it's platonic, but when we're talking about intimate spaces, I know that people can be very sensitive with behaviors because that can communicate the wrong message or the right message. You know what I mean? So I think that that's a great point in terms of behavioral situations. And that's when things get stirred up. Not just like do you guys find that you guys like push down issues that you identify, whether it's your friends or family, and you're like, okay, I don't want to talk about this right now. I don't want to talk about this right now. And then after a while, it's like shaking a soda can. What'd you say right now?
I said, or I'll try to convince myself that it's a big deal.
Why?
That,
I like that. Oh, I don't like that, but that's interesting. Why do you feel like you have to tell yourself it's not a big deal?
Because sometimes I don't want to have conflict too often or nag about things that are just small. It's like, okay, Raina, you could have left that alone. Like, it really wasn't that serious, not that deep. Like, I'll tell myself that instead of like, oh yeah, sis, I didn't like that. Or, you know what I mean? Or sometimes I'm like, it's small. She won't, or he won't do it again. Or like, I literally rationalize in my head. Like, why?
She don't want to be on nobody's head. She don't want to seem like she always on somebody's head.
Yeah, because I could.
But in an intimate relationship, that's important. You really do want to pick your battles. You don't want to have that much to say, because if you have that much to say, then that ain't the person for you. You're trying to change who they are.
Oh, you struck a chord.
That part right there. That right there.
I think that's a huge part.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, usually it's after something has happened. Anytime I have conflict with someone, whether it's a friendship or a relationship, it's usually after something has happened, and I'm trying to not be on your head or not say anything. Then I've got to the point where like, if I don't say something now, they gonna just keep doing it. I need to say something, so I'm trying to figure out, picture that. Like, I need to say something and make sure I know exactly what I'm about to talk about. So sometimes I might let it slide. And then sometimes I usually come up against people like, well, you didn't say nothing last time, and I thought that was fine. And I'm like, because I didn't know if it was something that you just do all the time, I thought maybe we would connect and you will be like, oh, you know what? I wonder how that made him feel. Maybe I thought you would say something to me about it. But I took it on the chin, so I just was like, you know what? All right, I ain't gonna say nothing. And if I see that it keeps happening, I'm like, nah, I got to say something now. I don't want to have to keep talking about it, but I do want to choose the right moment to say something about it and make sure I have facts and things that I can talk about that, like, this made me feel like this. This is how I felt when you did this. I don't know if this is what you meant by it or this, you know.
Then that's a
But
double-edged sword.
is your delivery the same though? Once you let it build up, is your delivery going to be the same
That's
as
the thing.
it first happened?
If I would have responded when it first happened,
A
it would
third
probably
time.
be a problem. It would probably be
Okay.
more of a problem because I'm just going to respond. I'm going to be emotional. I'm going to respond out of emotion. But when I sit there and I'm like, okay, this was going on. Is she tripping? I don't know. So now I'm getting my thoughts together for when I do go to respond, when I do go to bring this issue up. So
Listen,
there is a set syllabi or standard that I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to prove or what I'm trying to get across is this. Now, hopefully, when we're talking, I'm reaching you. I'm hitting those points. If I don't, then maybe this conversation might go a different way. But it's a conversation that has to happen, and at some point in time.
I love this conversation. I do want to let me get to some of the comments because we've been preaching. Okay, so hey Cheryl, welcome to the chat. Honey Child says guilty, talking about Raina not pointing or always bringing up or nagging. She says guilty. If you can hear the speeches I rehearse in my head. Tess says definitely. Sometimes you don't want to shake the hornet's nest and deal with all the stings. That's
It's a
fair.
good saying.
And then Veronica says, yes, pick your battles. A relationship and a friendship should not be a war. And then Tess says, the practice communications become the norm if you don't say anything. Oh, I'm sorry, the practice miscommunications become the norm if you don't say anything. Pick your battles, but don't be the doormat. Come on, Tess.
Okay.
Come on, Tess.
Yeah.
You know, and I was gonna say, if you let things go, I'm a fan of stepping into the pool from the shallow end, from the steps. So as we get to know friends, or lovers or what have you, new people in our lives, family, we kind of get crash course, right? But when you're with your friends, people who you get to pick to be in your lives, I generally will walk into the pool from the shallow end. So when themes of issues arise, I'll be like, ooh, I'm not really, are you, what would you mean? What do you mean by that? Or you start to learn people's propensities or their politics or how they socialize, because compatibility is a huge thing. Everybody ain't for everybody else. And so it's important that we know who we are, so that when we walk into these social spaces and we befriend people, and then maybe it leads to more, we understand the nonverbal cues. Like all three individuals on this live right now, I could have an entirely nonverbal conversation with all three of you guys, and you'll know exactly what I said, the punctuation, the inflection on which word that I did not say, and you will be able to answer me yes or no, or Brit, let's go over here. Like, that is the beauty and the joy, I think, of developing authentic friendships and connections, because you learn something about your friend, your partner every day, or you should be. If you have blinders on in that relationship, conflict is not going to be fruitful for you. You're just going to be bumping your head against a brick wall. My opinion only, but that's what I think. So let me listen. Y'all came to play today. Let me say that. I love it. So let me see. What do your conflicts look like? So, hello, Ambi Marie. Welcome to my legacy house. Oh, hey, Ilanya. I always have a tongue twister, but you know, Miss Ilanya. Hello, doll. What do you guys' conflict looks like? Like, how do you fight? How do you fight? Are you guys the silent treatment? Are you guys screamers? Do you guys throw stuff? What do you guys do? You run from it? Do you just shut down? I want to know what you guys in the chat do, but I want to know what you guys do. How do you guys fight? Not the level-headed individuals that I see here right now who have the time and space and grace to answer how they really do feel at the core of it. But how do you handle your conflicts? How do you communicate the conflicts initially?
Sometimes I shut down a little bit because I got to gather myself. because sometimes in the midst of a conflict I wasn't prepared for, I'll get flustered and I'll say some stuff I shouldn't say. So I have to gather myself before I decide. Full pep talk before I decide to go and have the conflict or have the conversation.
Okay. Okay.
'Cause
You said because what now?
I said because I can say some things if I don't gather myself before and have what I'm gonna say almost prepared, but not exactly, just kind of like my bullet points. I might say some emotions might take over.
All right. Easy E. How you feel? How do you do it?
I'm choosing violence.
What does that mean exactly?
No, I'm choosing violence. We fighting. I'm playing. No, I'm not playing, but I am playing because
Right.
no, I don't. But I'm not like you, B. I'm not the shallow end. I'm off the diving board, cannonball. Majority. Because I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna say what I need to say. I'm gonna try to put it in a way where I don't come off as offensive, but I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, and we're gonna go from there. Like
You're
I'd
gonna say chips
rather,
where they fall.
yeah.
Chips fall where they may.
I'm gonna just, hey, this is how I feel. If you get mad about it, now I get to see what affects you. Like if I go to speak my truth, and then I see that affects you when certain things may affect me. At least I'm able to say what's on my mind, and I'm able to put it in the dialogue and say to people, I'm not one of those that's like I beat around the bush because I don't know how I'm actually feeling or how I'm supposed to say it. I'd say it. So
Yeah. Steven.
I think it's changed over time. I always go back to the steps of it because we're dealing with younger people also. Because when I was younger, my conflict resolution was fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it was a problem, it was just time to fight, and that's how we handle things. As I got older and became more calculated, my conflicts became throwing facts back in your face, gathering all the facts and being good and be like, boom, you forgot about this, you forgot the day that you did blah blah blah. This is why this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm blindsided with conflict, like if it's like an intimate relationship and I'm playing 2K and somebody blindsides me with a conflict, I go straight to being defensive and say whatever's on my mind instantly. Because I'm blindsided and I get time to even have a conversation. I felt like you punched me. So it goes back to, oh, you punched me, well, I'm about to punch you back, and then maybe after we punch each other, we can have a conversation.
Now you listen. Now you're tired.
Verbally. I'm not talking anything physically. I'm saying verbally. Yeah. I just had to clear that
I was
up.
like, now they're tired. So
Yeah.
okay. So Kim says she gives the silent treatment. Tia Georgina says she shuts down. Well, Kim says they're dead to me. And then Lorenzo says he prays about it and consults Papa P. So if y'all don't know, that's
And
PJ.
Papa P's a good person to call.
And then Tess says, I don't like fighting. I like discussions, but if I'm reckless, I'm blunt. And I think a lot of us have that in us.
yeah.
Because I have learned that when I am calm because I'm a patient individual, but once the lid is off, then it's venom. And I'm going to let you know all the things of all the things.
But see, the problem with that is that you still got to stand on those words, and that's the same mouth that you're going to tell that person that you love them. So which one means more?
Absolutely. And that's why I don't do that anymore. That's why I breathe.
That part right there.
Because I understand, I've seen the effects of me not blowing up and not even going off, but just like sniping. Because that's the thing. I've never been the one that's just going to be hollering and all that kind of thing. But I will use a razor blade.
But that's poking the bear.
Figurative. No, it's not poking the bear.
Okay.
I'm stabbing the bear. I'm speaking right to it. I'm speaking, no, because you know what I mean? It's not like,
I feel you know, I understand what you're saying.
I'm going straight to the point, and I'll go straight to the point of every single thing that proves my point to a certain extent. You know what I mean? And so over time, that was, of course, when I was younger. Now I take a little more time to ask a lot of questions, and then I get why you ask so many questions? I'm like, because I need to understand. because
to
I
make
need to
sure I'm
understand
proving.
before I make this decision
Mm-hmm.
of whether or not our journey continues together or separately. And that's friend. And I'm an equal opportunist. So that's across the board of every type of relationship that I've had, you know, because words mean things.
For
Yes,
sure.
And
they
people say,
matter.
oh, you know, sticks and stones break my bones, but words can never hurt you. No, words can hurt worse because they echo. They have a way of being immortal.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And right now with this day and age and these youngsters that are growing up, they don't tend to listen to what they say when they speak. And I feel like how we may have grown up, or some of us may have grown up, like our words, we understand certain words, what they mean, what they come with, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, you can say anything, and you're like, hold on, I'm supposed to be hot about this, but it's funny or it's not, or it's something like they make situation. And I'm like, I don't know this new era. So that's why I say I really choose my words wisely. Because when I was younger, we throwing hands, or if I don't know how you said whatever you said, and it made me feel a certain way when I wasn't able to put my feelings into words, I would just be like, well, I'm gonna choose whether or not I mess with this person, and then if I choose violence, then I'm gonna say something back that's gonna make you mad, and it's gonna be easy for us to not be cool because you don't mess with me, I don't mess with you now because of what I said. So now though, it's just like I make sure I choose my words wisely because I'm thinking of that. The things that I say that leave my mouth how I feel, those I still have to say I love you or I still care about you or things like that. And when you have heard somebody speak bad on you and then turn around and be like, man, you know I love you, give me a hug. I'm like, well, do you? Do
Right.
you? Because
Which one is true? Which one
yeah,
is
which
true?
one is true? Because
Back.
it's tough, and that's what I speak about when I talk on the black man's experience. Like when we hear from
Mm-hmm.
as a young man, and I'm listening to older women or moms talk to me when I was younger. I was like, do they love me? I don't know because I'm hearing nothing but negative stuff. But then they turn around and be like, I love you, come here, get something to eat. And I'm just like, I'm confused on how a relationship is supposed to be that you care about. Do you just say anything you want? Do you not care about how they feel? And then does love trump all of that? And I'm like, I don't know.
And it's I think it's a valid point to say, or I think it's important to note that when you're telling somebody about themselves, it should be behavior and not characteristics, because that is where you have a problem when you go back to say I love you. If you're saying you did this and I felt like this, or you did this and I didn't say that, you know what I mean? We have to be
Yeah,
very careful with what we're criticizing and what we're in conflict about, because if it's somebody's personality, you got some other questions to ask.
yeah.
So Tess says, even when I'm mad, I try to pick my words carefully. I do my damnedest not to say anything that tunes the other party out, because after that, the mess just escalates. Absolutely. And
For
then
sure.
Mr. Obasi says, I'm extremely blunt and calm. Yes, you are. I hit my points and elaborate on them. I definitely sound like a jerk, but you'll know where you stand when it's over. And then Freaking Nicarican says, I have to gather my thoughts because if I go straight off what I'm thinking instantly, it won't be pretty. And that collateral damage is real, y'all. Cheryl says, depends on who the beef is with, but I can be a little of all of the options, more often calculated where I pick my battles, but come with facts to support my arguments. And then YOLO says, depends on whom it's with. Friends, I'll drop truth bombs for the moment, then take my space and time back until I've come down from 100. And then YOLO says, poke the bear until it bites your head off. You bought that attack. Oh, no, no, no. I don't poke. I don't poke. Just say, okay, so Lilu Yoga says, I don't chew people up anymore. I've learned that when I stop talking to a person who's arguing, the convo gets cut short. That is so smart. If you can only speak your piece in anger, our problem is bigger than the conflict. Yes. Our problem is bigger than the conflict. Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So, because I think I asked in like the stories this week, do you fight fair? Because I think that's an important point. Because you can't dump everything from 5 arguments or 5 incidents ago into this particular argument or conflict, because that is unfair. You're bombarding an individual. What's up, Raina?
then I'm
Yes,
very unfair.
you.
Listen, yeah, I would want to say I fight fair, but no, I
I'll
do not.
reach back here and grab this and that and bring it to you because
Unless it was resolved. If it
Right.
wasn't resolved,
That
just because
part.
you had conflict doesn't mean it was resolved. So if it wasn't resolved, it's in the backpack.
yep,
And as we're talking, I'm like, hold on, I got
yep.
something else, yo. Oh, you
Oh, hold
And
on. Oh,
I
you
another
got
thing,
tripping? Let me
something
get
And,
this.
else.
and
and this
another
Yeah.
time, this is you.
here's where I see the issues with that. And mind you, when I say I see an issue with that, it's because I have done it in the past, and then someone will have brought it to my attention. I'm not sitting on anybody's high horse. I'm sitting down here in the trenches with y'all, right? So when I when I have done that, because all I'm doing is gathering facts, and I have the curse
Mm-hmm.
I have the curse of the memory of an elephant. Like, I don't forget anything. I don't forget anything. And so when I say, well, yeah, because somebody says, no, I didn't do that, and I'm like, well, yes, you did, because last week you did that, and then 2 years ago on the 14th of February you did that, and then,
Ah,
and you know what I mean?
shit.
And it's not so much that there was a conflict in, but like Raina said, showing the pattern, and then it's like, well, why are you holding a grudge? Why are you
Yep.
keeping these things, saving
You
these nuts
keeping
for a rainy
tabs,
day?
yeah.
And it's like, well, then how in the future, moving forward, when I say you've done this a couple of times and I thought that it was a one-time occurrence, and then you start asking me for receipts, but I can't produce receipts, then we don't get any resolve. But then when I produce the
Mm-hmm.
receipts, now I'm holding a grudge. So when we say pick our battles,
That's true.
it's not just picking which battles to fight, it's picking which method to use when we're communicating what we take issue with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it matters what you want from this conflict. It matters the type of resolution you want to, the type of battle you pick with the person. Because sometimes you go into it knowing this is it.
Absolutely.
So you just gonna, you just gonna lay whatever's on the line. And some people, like you said, like the family that you get the crash course with, you have to do things with delicate hands. You gotta learn to have civil conflict.
I love
Yeah.
that. Civil
Simple
conflict.
conflict. Yep.
Civil
And
conflict.
I feel like sometimes the conflicts that we have when we do go to reach in our bag for the other things, they still all tie into each other. That's why it's so easy to pull from those
Mm-hmm.
situations, because maybe that situation that we had in the bag, we didn't really get a chance to touch on, but
Mm-hmm.
this situation kind of sets us up for that. You're going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about this situation, but then just so I can show you where it played a part in our relationship the last time, that's why we're going in the bag, because hey, this has something to do with this.
Mm-hmm. And I
And
think yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and then that's why we have this situation. We have to bring it up because it has something to do with
Mm-hmm.
this. It's a behavioral thing, because it didn't only just that there. Hold on, I got something else for you, because remember this moment? Because
Yeah.
this was another moment that plays into that. And now I'm starting to see how they all line up. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
so now I was going to talk to you about this issue, but we never dealt with those other issues. So let's try
You're
to
gonna get all of it now.
get all of them out the
But
way.
if they're lining up, then that becomes
Right.
a characteristic. They say we can't
Yeah.
change people's characteristics, so that's a
Hmm.
whole different thing.
It's a
That's a
whole
whole different
different thing.
problem that
Somebody
you're
in the
having.
chat said that too. And I
Right.
think that speaks to the communication level of us, right? Because we can only speak from our perspective. So if we're getting accused of keeping receipts and being petty, it's like, no,
Right.
this is not keeping a receipt, because that was not a problem then. Let me be clear. That wasn't a problem. But what I am seeing now is that there are characteristics, that this situation is the first cousin twice removed of that first situation. And I just
Hmm.
want to make sure that it's something that I can either live with or move on
Yes.
amicably from. You know what I mean? Kim says, I fight fair when I decide to speak to the person again. And I think that a lot of people are in that boat. But here's the thing. Some people don't make friends unless they know they're going to keep them. I'm that way. I'm not going to put you in my boat if I plan on throwing you away later. Like, it's hard to get into this vault. And then once you're in, it's even harder to get out. We may be clawing at each other, figuratively. But I'm not going to throw you away, because when I throw you away, I'm throwing you away. It's no recycle. It's a shredder. You know what I mean?
I concur. I agree with that for sure.
Now, question for the
What's up?
record,
Are you raising your hand, Raina?
yes, girl, because I need you to see me real quick.
Go ahead.
Record. Now, reaching in the backpack, is that not playing fair? Is that what we're saying? Because
No, I don't have the answers. Everybody
Yeah,
has the
this
answers.
is all, this is trial and error. We're just
Everybody
going
has
through
the
it.
answers.
But
We don't come here
We're
with no
we do
instruction.
know that reaching in the backpack though doesn't really move you forward. Like every time you reach in the backpack, you end up in a stagnated place. Unless somehow y'all come to a resolution, you literally got to come up to that decision yourself, whether or not it's okay with you now.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And that's interesting that you say that, Stephen, because if you think about literally when you would wear a backpack, like in school, you can't walk forward if you're reaching back into your backpack unless somebody is pulling you or guiding you, because you're going to run into a pole, you're going to run into a wall, you're going to run into the wrong person. And so when you're looking backwards, you cannot go forward. And so
That's why
you
I wear my
have to
backpack
see.
on
Don't
the front.
Okay.
No,
That's why I wear a backpack.
It's, I'm ready. I'm ready with my
Listen.
look,
backpack.
look.
No, I'm done, Rocket. No.
So what you were
I
saying
got
now?
my,
What you?
I
Rocket. I'm
got
not going
my.
anywhere with you, Rocket. You are done.
Listen.
Um,
So what you were saying now? No.
you stupid. Lilu Yoga says conflicts are rooted in insecurities and personal pride. And
A lot of
she's,
times,
I don't
yes.
know if this is meant, okay. So they also say, if I'm sailing, you can't make me drown. Ooh, I like
Ooh,
that.
okay.
If I'm sailing, you
Okay.
can't make me drown. Absolutely. Tess says, I play fair. If I
Yes.
know it's not related, I don't see the added benefit of making someone you say you care about feel worse when you're trying to resolve the initial conflict. Here's a shovel for that hole you're digging. Look, you know what? And that's a valid point in terms of like weighing up your options in terms of which fight you want to take on. Then yeah, you have to say, okay, is it worth it? I know you know where the mines are laid. You know where the bombs are buried. And so you have to say, do I want to play with fire today?
Mhm.
And
I
if so, why?
I agree with the
I mean, you gotta.
selling.
Oh, good.
My fault. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, brother.
I
One of y'all
agree with
go.
the selling, and not, when I'm selling high, I want to be flying. But I tend to, if this is just not me thinking like this, the people that are closest to you are the people that get under your skin the most.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to, like,
Mhm.
when I don't
Yeah.
care, I'm selling. When I care, I have the obligation to understand that you are feeling some type of way. Now that you feeling some type of way might be just to get me off balance, to check my temperature, to see if I care
Mm-hmm.
about you or things like that. So
Manipulation.
I tend to be like, I try to
Very
move
cool.
forward, but I don't want to be, I'm in a relationship and my girl, she tripping, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, yeah. And then now it's like, I don't care. You don't care, nigga. Oh, you don't care. Nigga, I was with you. Like, you don't care about it. And I'm like, well, I got to take the time to now, okay, I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you this grace because I do. And then even in that, I kind of lower down my guards. And then now I'm affected. And then we deal with this back and forth, this conflict, and hopefully we can move past it. But the one thing that I would like for, it's hard for me to do, is get past situations. Like, not get past them, because I can get past situations. Things don't really stick with me.
Mm-hmm.
But coming to a conclusion,
Okay.
coming to a conclusion is hard when the person doesn't, when you're trying to convince the person what's the best way and they think what their way is the best way. And coming to that conclusion is difficult. So then you do have a lot of unfinished battles that you do go back
Mm-hmm.
into and you have to, deal with later on.
And that's when
So it's
they go
like,
to, that's when you come up to what I hate. I hate when people say this. And I don't agree that you can do this. When people say, well, let's just agree to disagree. It's like, no, by definition, that is impossible.
Nothing happened
see,
then, and this is when we
Nothing.
just in the book bag again. It's
yeah,
back in the book
because
bag.
Book
that's what
bag.
started this. We agreed to disagree. This is why we're doing this now.
Right.
We're gonna
And
just
the
go
problem
ahead.
with the problem with the conflict is that a lot of times we start off talking about the tree of the trunk, and somehow we end up on the leaf. Like we go up the branch, we go off the trains, and then we end up on this leaf somewhere, and we never discuss the base of the problem.
No, because you start talking about the fruit that fell over there while you up
Yeah,
here on the,
and
like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So then that brings me to the next point. How do we resolve it? Like, what is your process? I'm going to ask each of you guys. And if you don't know, it's okay. Just kind of think through it and talk through it because you guys are quick. But how do you guys go about resolving conflict? I don't care which one of you guys goes first. But one of y'all got to go.
well, it depends. It depends on the relationship again.
Thank you.
Um, it's always tough when it comes to conflict. Like I said, when it comes to people that are going to be in your life regardless, and you have to watch what you say. It's a growth. It's a maturity in emotions and emotional control and delivery. These things come with time. So like even the conflicts with me and my brother, they're not the same as when we was kids in the same room trying to figure out who gonna wear these shoes today and how this shoe got a scuff on it and I ain't wore them yet. Like these were different type of conflicts than say your intimate relationship. Depending on where it's at now in the relationship and where you want it to go in the future. Depends on how you deal with these hands and deal with the baggage of the stuff. The resolution comes in sitting down and listening. Once you sit down and listen, y'all figure out a way for y'all to communicate, then the resolution actually comes. And sometimes the resolution is that this relationship is over. Sometimes the resolution is a simple change, a simple acknowledgement of, I appreciate you, or something. Is a lot of times is really easy, but it just depends on the relationship.
I
We lost
completely,
something.
yeah, she just requested to come back in. Just a little connection
Yeah.
snafu. We're okay. Okay.
I
I can understand that. I can understand that. We'll go with you, Rockett. What's your method, or
I
how do you resolve?
how I the same thing. It depends on the relationship. It depends on what it is. But we're gonna go with an intimate relationship. Um, I feel like in an intimate relationship, what you have to show your partner is grace. Give them empathy. Listen, just like we was talking about. Like listening is big because, and I've said this. I said it's men's responsibility to set the tone. I mean, it's a man's responsibility to set the tone of the relationship.
When we're talking
So
about
it
heterosexual intimate
yes. So
relationships?
then it's also a good space for us to to change the narrative on how things go. So maybe because we're men are able to feel like we're able to deal with a lot of things that have been thrown against us that might not be us, but we've learned how to take things on the chin and move forward and keep moving. So when it comes to listening and on in an intimate relationship, understanding that it might have been a situation when I brought it up, but the fact that I've listened and I've seen how it affects her, and we're having conversation, then now I have the understanding of how this affects her, and now this situation might not be as big to me as I thought it was before.
Mm-hmm.
Because now when I take her feelings into account, then now I can see, okay, you know what, this is how she felt through this, not knowing what she's gone through or whatever the situation may have triggered. Now I'm sitting here and I'm thinking from my situation, like, oh, this made me feel like this, but okay, you're responding to something that I may have did that had triggered you. It might not be as big of a trigger for me. So you know what? I'll bite the bullet on this one, and we'll move past it. And we might not have to be like, no, oh, okay, we come to a conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Sometimes you just be quiet.
Just be like, oh, you
And
know
that's
what?
hard for a
Okay.
lot of people. That's hard for a lot of people, men and women. It doesn't matter. Like
No,
it's hard
forever.
for,
You know, for sure.
yeah,
For
it's
sure.
hard for a lot of people. So Binay's World says keep the line of respect and consideration always. And Veronica said many times conflict is based on past experiences that may never be resolved, and we have to acknowledge that too.
Mm-hmm.
Sympathy versus empathy in conflict can change the outlook of both parties' position or stance. Okay, Professor. And then Honeychild says, if the relationship is important, I have to resolve to not be stuck in offense. Once past that, I can remove the expectation and share what happened, allow response, and properly unpack it. And I think I think that is a huge point, a huge valid point to move. You have to let the emotion pass, and then you can get to the nitty gritty. So, Raina, how do you go about resolving conflict?
I try to be really delicate with consideration for the other person and how they may feel or how my words may come off. I also try to just really see the other person and try to put myself in their shoes and why they're upset or why they may have that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like once we can both get to that point, then the resolution can come. Once
Mm-hmm.
we both got it out of our system of all the defense, everybody got the guards up. And once you bring that down, I feel like you can reach an understanding. Because I think most conflict is misunderstanding most of the time. Or, it's just kind of like sometimes, like Rockett said, you just gotta say, you know what, all right, I'm gonna just sit out on this one because sometimes it's not worth keep going on back and forth when one, it may not be that deep. B, it's just not, I said one and then B.
That's
One,
okay. We living.
You got it though.
two, it may not be, it just may not be something that is really worth the argument. So for me, I just either A, I'll try to see you, or B, I'm gonna just back down and hope that you just understood you won this one because of
And
formality.
And I
because
want
I
to
think
throw
there's
this
a,
in. Go ahead.
I just want to say, I think there's some resolution. Like I'm just piggybacking off everybody else. That resolution comes in the comfort of vulnerability too. The more
Mhm.
you're able
Safety.
to be vulnerable with your partner, then the easier it is, I think, to resolve conflicts.
Absolutely.
Have you
Absolutely.
guys ever just been in the middle of an argument and you know it? You in the middle of the argument, you're like, this ain't even worth it.
Yes.
But but I gotta keep arguing because for the sake of the argument, I'm gonna keep going in. I've been there before.
Have you guys, well, in that vein, have you ever been in the middle of conflict and you realize this is not even about me? This conflict that
Yeah.
I have with this other person is not even about me, or that they
I think
have with
somebody
me.
made that comment earlier. They was like, it's
Yeah.
about your insecurities and your own battles. A lot of the conflicts are
Or even if it's something that you didn't
prejudged
do, it
things.
might be something that somebody else did, and
That
now
doesn't have to
you're.
do with the person that you're arguing with. Yes, like
Mm-hmm.
outside
Yes.
situations.
Lorenzo says often conflict stems from a lack of understanding and interpretation. Yes, Lorenzo. Tess says, I try to check myself and make sure before I'm in a headspace to receive this conflict and break it down. Being open and listening to engage instead of listening to respond. Oh, I always say that. Are you listening to respond to me, or are you listening to understand to me?
That's
You know,
being an active listener. That's
yeah.
being an active
Yeah.
listener.
Wait my turn, like
That's a tough one though.
that, like you know what I mean? Like so I
Absolutely.
definitely understand that.
Absolutely. So I think that there is a simplified way, not the simplified way, but a simplified way to approach resolving conflict. And the first part of that is just to lay the foundation. And you guys talked a lot about it. You guys are talking about, what do you want out of the situation, out of this argument, out of this conflict? What do you want to have happen? Then you have to think about what the other person wants and what are the differences between the two. Because a lot of times I'll be, with family members who are arguing, and I'll be listening and I'll say, y'all know y'all just said the same thing. You just said the same thing. They'll be like, no, I was like, yes, you said this and they said this. You said the exact same thing. Y'all just want to say it the way you want to say it. But
I
it's
want
the
you to
same
agree
We
thing.
on
don't
the
want
way
no
that I say
resolution.
it.
We don't want no resolution of those. That's just that's
No,
who's
I
the
want you
greatest
to say it
quarterback or
my
something.
way. Yeah. This is the way it's supposed to be said.
Right. Miss Bad Inc. says, wish I came in earlier. You know what? These are always recorded. I always repost these. And I'm going to take this opportunity to tell y'all what we are actually doing here,
Commercial
because
break.
we got a lot of new
Hey,
people. What'd you say?
Commercial
commercial
break.
break.
Commercial break. For the people who've just joined the chat, welcome to my Legacy House, where everything starts at home. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization specializing in holistic mental health and social services. So what all that means in English is that we provide e-mentorship services for adults, so 18 and up, and we provide life skills. I don't want to call it a course because school sometimes runs people off, but this is part of our Whole Warrior Collaborative and our Quality Queens Initiative. That's our men's and women's empowerment programs. 100% free for people who are participating. So if you're interested in actually being assigned one of our illustrious mentors and walking through this year-long process with us of self-discovery, of honing our strengths, of strengthening our limitations and breaking down barriers, finding yourself, and really balancing out your mental health holistically. That means just balancing all your skills and your confidence and your self-esteem and your relationship skills and communication skills and your job preparedness and all the things of life. Just click the link in our bio, fill out our quick application, and we will place you with a mentor, and we will figure out what it is you need, and we will see about getting you the resources to get what you need done. So follow us, share, like. We have a YouTube page, YouTube channel that has all of our live sessions for our life skills that are uploaded there. But we are really, really happy to have you. Join us every Monday at 7 p.m. right here on Instagram Live, where we discuss a different life skill. Today, we're talking about our beliefs about conflict. So, y'all like that commercial?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
that was
Okay.
great. That
You
was
Okay.
gotta
great.
Okay. I'm glad y'all liked
listen. You
it.
gotta send me a script. I want to do some
I'm gonna do that.
commercial.
I'm gonna do that.
I want to get some
I want
commercial
to.
time
Oh,
in.
oh, oh,
What you
say
mean?
less.
I'm telling.
Yes, Rayed, yes, it is virtual. It's 100% virtual. The only things that won't be virtual will be when the world actually opens up and we are able to have our local events once a month, and when we have two of our actual retreats. We'll have our men's retreat and our women's retreat, and that's going to be for the participants, and that's like spring, in the spring weeks of our program. And that'll be located in Los Angeles County in California. But in terms of the program, the virtual program of just having the mentor and getting resources, Raina pointed out to me that we are technically international now. We have some participants that are all over the place.
Shout out to Otto.
Hey.
Mhm.
So yes, so we are virtual, but we make ourselves as accessible as possible. All of our mentors are volunteers. And they have a plethora of knowledge and experience, and so we're really, really happy to have them. And you got 3 of them right here on the live with you right now. So back to our regularly scheduled
Regular
program.
schedule programming. There
But
you go.
yes,
You got it.
but yes, mentors, I will give you guys some little reads so that you guys can do this yourself. I would love that. Thank you, Rockett, for giving everybody homework. I'm just kidding.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Very
Rocket.
good.
everybody.
Y'all
Say
were
Like
thank
we're in
you.
class.
right.
Just kidding. Just kidding. So we talk about laying the foundation for conflict resolution. And so we want to really get a base. What do I want out of this? What does that person want? And what is the difference between the two? Because that's going to probably solve about 75% of all the issues that we have anyway. And then how do each of you feel about the situation? Because feelings, while they're not quote unquote facts, they are real. I think Rocket and I had a discussion about this the other day. While feelings are not facts, feelings are factual. They are how you
Mm-hmm.
feel. They are real for the person experiencing them. And so they cannot go unacknowledged, because then that becomes a pressure cooker, because people do not feel validated in their most vulnerable and sensitive states.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have to now bring it back to rationality. What are your reasons? What are your reasons for A, what you want out of the conflict? And you don't have to voice it to the other person. All of this is an internal checklist. And it can happen just like that. It doesn't have to be like this long drawn out dissertation or analysis, but you have to be able to understand and pinpoint, okay, what is really the crux of all of this? I think it's crux or it's crux. I don't know all the words, y'all. I just be talking sometimes. But you have to explain your reasons for why you wanted what you wanted, and then attempt to understand the other person's point of view. That is probably the hardest thing.
I'm
We
good at
get
that.
blinded. What'd you say, Raina?
I'm good at that part.
You're good at thinking about what they, or assuming.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Listen, because I was for sure. I was like, I don't know.
I was like, you a mind reader, huh?
Yeah, because
Okay, it's
I
like
assume.
I see they're upset about something.
Right.
Like,
So
you know,
I didn't say assume. I didn't say
based on how they're trying to plead their case or plead their, so you can kind of, I guess, assume.
assume. A lot of people do that. It's not just you. It's
But
not
most of
just
the time,
you.
my assuming is 70% correct.
No, I don't think so. We've had conversations.
This is well.
We're gonna keep it a bucket legacy house. So this is what I'll say. Because it's very easy to fall into the trap of anticipating how somebody is feeling based on how you are perceiving their acting or their speaking or the words they're using or this posture they're taking. But it's unfair for you to assign how they're feeling to what you see they're doing. It's unfair. It's always best to ask them, because a lot of times they won't even be able to tell you if they're in that state. So it's unfair for you to know them better than they know themselves. That's not really a thing. We say that to say how close we are to somebody, but that is not a thing, because if somebody doesn't know who they are, there's no way you can know who they are. So the same goes for their feelings. If they don't know how they're feeling, you cannot know. So a lot of other issues will be alleviated if we stop anticipating or assuming that we know better than the other person how they feel about something, because that's just going to make them more and more mad. Like you don't know, that's taking their thoughts from them or their agency.
I'm gonna write that one.
So I said, attempt to understand their point of view and how they feel in the situation. not attempt to guess or assume. And that's that on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fun part, when all the smoke is done and all the flames are down. Well, hold on, because we got people who are
Yeah, girl,
participating.
cracking
Tess
off.
says, attempting to understand the other person's point or their perspective is crucial to understanding what's up. Asking and prodding the breakdown helps. Absolutely. Maybe not prodding, because we have to do it in a delicate way, because sometimes we do have to get in the space, but absolutely asking and allowing space for the answer to come through. We don't ask and then put a time clock, say, hey, you're not answering in the time slot that I have available for this. So move it along.
My asking goes like this. So you wasn't saying that you was so that wasn't what you were saying? So you didn't say that? That ain't what you were saying? Come on now. I could have sworn you said that. I heard you. So now it's different. So you wasn't saying that? What were you saying there?
That's
What would you say?
on. That's
But
egging on.
is reading between the lines assuming? Like
Yes.
when you know somebody, how long does it take to be with somebody
Then you
to
don't
know
read
what
between
they're
the
actually
lines.
saying?
Then you don't read between the lines.
Just take people everything always face value on what they say.
If you read between the lines, read it out loud and ask them, is this what you're saying? Read the line out loud.
That makes sense. I like that.
You know what I mean? Because that's the only way that you're going to get the understanding. They have to put it into words or it didn't happen for you. It's just happening in their imagination. You know what I mean? So, and that's the important part.
Which is a dangerous place.
Listen,
it's a dangerous place.
No man's land. It's not loyal to anyone. It's got bombs and all these other things that nobody knows where it's buried. The other person doesn't know. Elanya Van Zant said something that I repeat to people all the time when they are barriers of issues. Feelings buried alive do not die. They fester, and then they come out at the most inopportune time because we're not prepared for it. We don't address it. So we don't even have control over when it's going to bubble up because we're not addressing it. We don't put words to it. And so it's very important. I'm always about talking things out. Even if I have to blow up at somebody for a second, then I always come back. Like, I'm going to keep it a buck. Rockett and I had an argument the other day.
Listen.
Get resolved.
We had an argument the other day. And I was like, I know this is not going down like this. I don't have time for this today. And so I was like, we can't talk right now because I'm upset.
And I wanted to talk. I was like, no. Oh, you gonna hang up? Voice messages.
I was like, I'm going to hang up. Yes. So I didn't hang up on him. I said,
like,
I'm going to end this call.
And I was like, oh, okay, voice messages it is. Because I'm going to get this off my chest right now. And I don't want to text it because I don't want to text it and you take it the wrong way. I want you to hear my voice.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to leave this voice note. So we left at least 40 minutes worth of voice notes.
When I say you got to put a voice to it, you got to put a voice to it. But then I called him back. I said, you done being mad? He was like, are you done being mad? I was like, yes. And then we had the conversation. We're children. But suffice it to say, you have to go through it. You can't just stifle your emotions. You can't bury them and expect to not talk to your friends or your family or your loved ones anymore. You have to address it at some point without all the icing and the fireworks and the bombs. So don't read between the lines, or do, but read it out loud. Don't read to yourself, because then now you're interpreting things, and let them interpret what you've read for you. So at the fun part comes when you explore potential agreements or solutions to a problem, because generally those are going to benefit you both. But there's a caveat. Do not judge the ideas. This is a brainstorm, a joint collective brainstorm opportunity for you to say, okay, look, maybe next time when we go out, you don't rub the girl's shoulder, Stephen. Don't rub her shoulder. That would help me. Is that okay for you? Right. Is that something that's natural for you to do? You know, or maybe we don't go to everything together, so I don't have to see it because I do trust you, et cetera, et cetera. And you just throw out all of the ideas that make sense to both of you. And then you try them on for size. But you search for multiple solutions because there is no one size fits all. Because everybody's different. Ray, it says, what if they're looking to provoke you? Then that is the wrong relationship for you. Friendship or otherwise. It's wrong. People should not be egging you on to get a reaction out of you, or it's an attempt to manipulate you. because then what happens is we form trauma bonds. When we have explosive situations with certain people all the time, and then we come back together and we either satiate ourselves with them, whether it's quality time, whether it's sex, whether it's just company or companionship, then we become bonded to them, but the foundation is trauma. And those are very toxic situations that are not easy. They're the hardest to get out of or out from under, because you're not really in them, you're under them. And so if someone is continuously trying to provoke you or starting a fight, or maybe they're doing dirt, whether you're intimate or platonic, then chances are they're trying to kick up dirt so that there is conflict, so that you have an opportunity for separation. And that's not healthy. So check the boundaries, check the foundation of that relationship if you are experiencing somebody who is always trying to provoke you. Veronica
You
says,
gotta
do
watch
not
people
judge.
kicking up dust, because they might have a lot of dust themselves that they're trying to hide. You gotta
Absolutely.
watch those people that's kicking up dust on you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always say people respond, or people, you only see people through the lens that you see yourself. I only see in these three individuals on the screen the things that I like most about myself. I admire the strengths that they have that are limitations for me. And I'm inspired by the things that they do that I can't do, but I wish I could. So we only see other people through the lens. So if you are constantly seeing the negative in other people, that means you feel horrible about yourself. If you're able to find positive traits in everything that somebody does, or you find yourself being forgiving, and it's not because you're browbeaten, then it's because you genuinely are a positive person. You do your best to treat people right, and you expect that from other people because it's not hard for you. So I think that is like kind of like the bridge. But Veronica says, do not judge. It is important to look at the concern in a non-biased rationale. Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes that takes time. Sometimes it takes hours. Sometimes it takes days. If it takes more than a day to come back to resolve an issue, then you don't really care or value that relationship. And you need to check yourself on that. You should not be giving somebody a silent treatment that lasts a week. After you're down, I'll give you 24 hours. Look, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, y'all, we get mad. Rockett, our next fight, you let me be mad for 24 hours.
I'm not going. You only really get 10 minutes, because I'm gonna say, for real, B. That's so you.
I like, so you big mad?
Oh, you
you
mad?
or what? Like, let me know, because I thought you was joking. I'm tripping. Are we tripping?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But when it comes to coming up with resolutions and things like that, one thing that I've learned is don't shoot it down as you're saying it. Like, all right, you know what? Let's try this, but I know you're not gonna do it because then
that's a defense mechanism.
It doesn't go anywhere. And I'm trying to work on that right now. Like that is something that I'm continuously trying to work on, because when you're with a partner or when you're with a friend and you know how they move, because you've known them for so long, you know, all right, we're gonna try it this way. But I know he not, or I know she not going to, and it's gonna be an issue, and then we're gonna have to come back to this situation later. And we agreed on this, and she or he was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna try it this way. And I'm like, you're not gonna be able to keep your end of the bargain up, but okay. I'm just waiting for you to go down
that
and then we're
becomes a
gonna have to talk
self-fulfilling
about
prophecy. That becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's a defense mechanism. You are planning to fail, and you're trying to soften the blow before you actually fail. And you're judging yourself so that the other person can't judge you for bringing up a stupid idea. There are no stupid ideas. So
that's what
you just say it.
Right now.
You're not the only person that's like that. A lot of people are like, well, it's probably not gonna work, or they're probably gonna think it's dumb. I'm like, how about you let them tell you how they think about it? Like, let the chips fall where they may. You say it and then see what happens. Be embarrassed for 5 minutes. It's fine. We're human. We're human. But always remember, compromise is good. Not compromising morals or values, but coming to a consensus. This consensus is usually more than two people, but coming to a middle ground where both of you are satisfied, and it's not a lose-lose, but it's a kind of win, because we want different things. So compromise is good. And then afterwards, you need to be able to individually take away something from that conflict. What did you learn? Did you see a theme and variation? What can you do to avoid another blow up like that happening? What lessons can you fast forward or cut and paste so that in the future, you know exactly how to navigate this? Oh yeah, last time he triggered me when he did this, but when I talk to him, he says he does X, Y, and Z. And there goes the active listening, the retention, and the respect for what somebody you say you love says. So try to identify the major themes. So I don't want to belabor the point because I did have more stuff. I thought I wasn't gonna have enough stuff to like discuss on here, but we have, and I don't want to like go through it. So we'll go into final thoughts now. So is there any words of wisdom, final thoughts that you guys have that you want to share with the class?
Yes. Forgiveness is key. The faster you're able to forgive somebody, the easier the situations are. You can get through situations. You don't let them shape you or change how you respond to this person because you're in a forgiving manner, even if you're not in the wrong. And I've noticed that used to be the hardest thing to do for me, was to forgive someone even when I didn't feel that I was wrong, but maybe my part that I played in it became a situation. So I tend to give forgiveness and be empathetic and sympathetic to situations and try to become an active listener and be patient. Because when conflict does come around, if you respond while the madness is going up, it's going to be hard to see the full picture or see the situation. So I do try to step back and, evaluate the situation and be patient and try to use those keys where I'm showing grace or I'm showing sympathy or empathy towards the situation, or I'm being an active listener, and a lot of times I'm already ready to forgive the situation because of how much I care about the people that I'm getting into it. Because I don't get into it with people that I don't care for. So when I'm in that, I'm already looking for a reason to forgive, or I'm looking for I'm already going to forgive. Now I'm just trying to find the lesson out of this situation. So that's all I have.
You ready to forgive? I love that. Raina, Steven, which one of y'all got something?
I think if we go ahead, Raina.
Go ahead.
No, go.
This is
Nah,
like traffic.
under on mine.
I'm
Go
at the
ahead.
stop sign. You go. Somebody go.
I flashed my lights at him.
Okay, well then, here we go. Well, this is what we need. When it comes to conflict resolution, I think it's big on compassion, empathy, um, watching our words, meaning what we say, and grace. Grace for ourselves. We touched these things earlier. Grace for ourselves, grace for the other person, grace for messing up, grace for not delivering this the way that you receive it, at least the first time. At least, let people be human and give them a chance to grow within your likes and dislikes and find your compromise.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Grace, compromise, empathy. These are beautiful words.
Listen, I
Raina.
love the.
I guess one big thing is just be transparent with that person. Tell them how you really feel. Don't sugarcoat. Don't. Of course, be respectful and say
Mm-hmm.
immediately in the nature you need to, but also be true to yourself and how you're feeling, and don't be afraid to say how you feel if that's gonna counteract what unforeseeable. What am I trying to say? Like an unforeseeable reaction. Sometimes we may think we know somebody and we might say something and we get a reaction that we didn't foresee. And all of a sudden now it's spiraling worse because now you're scrambling trying to combat that reaction. But like I said, just always stay true to yourself in that argument or hold your ground. Also, another thing about defensiveness, knowing when to choose that battle, when to let it go, knowing when to stand your ground and when to just say, you know what, let me just sit this one down. It's not that serious. So, just kind of
I
knowing
love
when.
that. I love that. I think the biggest word that I hear and what you guys are talking about is humility. Us
Mm-hmm.
being humble in our relationships, because humility is akin to love. So I love that. So I'll say, if you find yourselves in the same types of conflicts over and over again with different people, pause. If you feel like you're becoming more and more argumentative as time goes on, whether it's in your life in general or within the course of a relationship, pause. Because now you have to do some self-reflection to figure out, okay, wait, what is really going on? Because I shouldn't be having the same conflict with different people. That means it's a conflict with me. And I should not be becoming more and more agitated in my relationships that are supposed to bring me peace, or are supposed to, cultivate peace. And really, you might have to start thinking about therapy or actually having a sounding board